Hi everyone, Mike Ware here with a special live edition of First Play, the series where we take a look at games for the first time and discuss design. This is my first Twitch stream, so bear with me a bit. Hopefully everything's going to work out all right. And today we're going to be playing Mini Metro again. It recently was put up on Steam Early Access after being greenlit, and so I haven't played it since the first episode of First Play way back a few months ago, and that was again an earlier edition. So I'm curious to see what changes they've made for the PC here. So I will dive in a second. If you're not familiar with my series, I basically play games for the first time. In this case, I'm replaying a game I've already played before a little bit, but a new version of it. So I've done a few of those, but mainly games that I've never played before, in order to explore their game and user interface design, and really get that first impression of something and really understand, is this a good thing and does it work well, or does it, does it not work well? Does it confuse the first time user? So I try and play a little bit dumb sometimes. At least I'll claim that. But basically, it's really about as an independent game developer myself, understanding aspects of game design and user interface design that work or what don't work, and keep me kind of apprised of what's out there, what's working, and that that I can use to incorporate better philosophies into my own games. And so yeah, you can check out the series more on the Patreon site I have. I have a link to that below. There's my YouTube channel, or you might be watching this from the saved recording of it later. Hope that works. I'll check that out later. But yeah, you can also follow me on Twitter, which I should also put a link to. But that's MikeWareXGR, and I'll post about this series First Play, as well as any other games and stuff I'm doing. I'm really tempted to try and do something for the Ludum Dare 48-hour game competition this weekend. Maybe part of a jam. I don't know if I have the time. Lots of other things going on at the moment. It always seems the timing's never quite right, but we'll see. Anyhow, enough introduction. Let's get started here and jump into Mini Metro again. So if you're not familiar with this game, basically you are managing a subway. This is the change log. Not too sure how relevant it is to me because I'm not familiar with what was the last effect. But I'm just going to check the options here. I've got the resolution full screen. It had a little dialogue pop up beforehand. Not colorblind, so I don't have to worry about that. Accelerated start, so that's an interesting option. I guess you can really let it pan out a bit. But basically, this is a station here you can see, and this triangle represents one little passenger in their backdrop. I don't know if you can see my mouse. Yes, you can on the Twitch stream, so that's good. You can see what I'm pointing to. But yeah, you're basically managing a network of subways in kind of the subway map style, which is really what gave this game a lot of press. Is just this graphical touch and element to the game really makes it stand out. But it's a really at least it was. I'm assuming it still is. It's a really interesting game to play. A lot of strategy involved. So the Zen mode is something they're planning to add, which is basically just not having the pressure of having an angry mob fill up at a station and revolt. Awesome. So here are all the different maps you can start. So this was the classic map, I think, with the river here in London that you started with in the original game when it was just an online demo. I'm curious to see what other maps. I was hoping for Montreal, because I've spent a lot of time in my life up there, and that's where I went to college. And so this is interesting with the island in the middle of the rivers. So I was hoping Montreal would be somewhere in here, but it doesn't look like it's there yet. I'm not sure if they're planning to do like Steam Workshop stuff, where you can actually make your own maps. That would be really Really cool to see. Paris, St. Petersburg. I'm assuming as I play these maps, I'll unlock the other ones here that are grayed out. Um, so let me see. That one, St. Petersburg seems pretty close to the London starting map. This one's really seems different, especially if it starts exactly as it's configured here. And I love that they picked the color schemes out for the metro maps of those areas. So that's there's just these nice little touches here. So I'll start here and see how it goes. The transitions here in the menus are really quite nice, and doesn't look like they've added any sound or music yet. Um, so basically, you start zoomed in here on a set of cities, and here it's already showing me how to play, but I'm just going to go explain it. You basically drag your mouse from one station to another to create a railway line. Those little dots on the bottom, these are all kind of new graphics for me from the web demo. But basically, the passengers are these little shapes next to these big stations, and the shape of the passenger represents the shape of the station that they want to go to. So this triangle passenger on the train is trying to get to this triangle station. And the shapes of the station actually kind of represent different areas of a city. So like the circles are the residential areas. The squares are supposed to represent, I think, like the kind of the main centers of the city, like the transit, where you'd have your major transit hubs. And then the triangles, I think, are just business districts. I'm not too sure. They have some scheme behind it, but I need to really start connecting more of these cities here. Um, and then the dotted lines here represent a tunnel underneath the river. So they've tried a few different things. It looks like, so at one point train slowed going through the tunnel, but it looks like it's going the same speed now, so I probably have a limited number of tunnels to start with. I don't see where that's displayed anywhere. Let's see. Oh, I can... Yeah, so I have 3 tunnels at least. Actually, I don't want that line there. I want to drag this blue line. And you can make loops here to make the train go around the circuit. So, okay, so that's that. I don't know what this little dot is. Oh, here, it just pulls up my menu. So these represent my lines. This all used to be on like the left before. So this is my yellow line, blue line, green line. I can unlock 4 extra lines. It looks like these are my tunnels. So I have one more tunnel left. Let's check here. Yeah, so now I have no more tunnels. So I start with 4 tunnels. I think in the past you start with 2 or 3. There's a timer up here on the right. I don't know if you noticed, but that represents days going through your transit system, and every week you unlock new bonuses. Though at one point it was based on your performance. So I guess they've been going back and forth and tweaking things how the game works a bit. All the methods of what they were tweaking like made the game interesting in different ways, and so I'm not sure if they plan in the future to have different options for some of these things to tweak how you play, because it has subtle differences on the strategy, but either way, it's a fun game to play either way. So I get a new locomotive, and then I also get a choice. So I got one more train, which I guess I can add to a line. So the number of trains you have on the lines versus the number of lines you have is different. And I can either get another carriage, so that's another car on a particular train, or I can get a tunnel. This map, I think tunnels are going to be really important. So it looks like that gave me 2 tunnels. So that's pretty cool. I wonder, so I could just leave this up all the time, I think. And so now I've got this other station type over here, this pentagon. And then this on the bottom right represents my progress of how many passengers I've actually delivered. So I know from strategy in the past, having like 3 circles here on this line isn't the greatest, because if you pick up a passenger at this circle here that wants to go to a triangle, well, he wouldn't get on this train because there's no triangles on this line. But if he wants to go to the square, he's going to be there for a few stops, and so you kind of clog up your train as you're going around. But I've got this other train here. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect these, but I'm going to add another train onto this line. And I guess it's always, I don't think I can configure if the train goes in the opposite direction. I thought you could at one point in the past. So, and then I'm going to redo this line here. That's kind of one of the interesting things that they did really well in this game is that it remembers the past. I don't really want to do it this way. Oh, I don't have any more tunnels. Ugh. Alright, I'll do it that way. Yeah, so I ran out of tunnels, so that prevented me from completing that loop. I've just got one. I could come back over this way, I guess. I should be able to. Yeah, there we go. But yeah, as you replan a route, it remembers what the route used to be before. Oops. I wanted to drag this other end. So that's a really neat thing, and you'll see the previous version of the route still exist and the train go on a bit until like it comes back and you finish planning the new route. And so they did a really good job with how this kind of element of you rebuilding the train system going. You can see it here, right? The train just goes back along what used to exist until you've replanned the route. Alright, get another locomotive, and I think I want more tunnels. I'm not worried about overflow right now. Plus, I do get another train, so I think I'll put that on this yellow line. So, and that's one of the, oh, see, now it's going the other way. So I'm not too sure how you control your trains. And I don't have another line yet. Let's see. Oh, okay, awesome. This is something that was missing in the early versions, is like just dragging part of a route over to include a new station. You always had to go back from the end. Like, so now I can just drag this in. So that's really helpful. That was a big pain. Like some station would show up like over in the middle of your loop and you'd have to disconnect your whole line, loop it in and reconnect it. And as the train's going around, that can be rather, screw up your system, especially if you have a station that's full of passengers. Alright, now this route is pretty complete. I'm going to see if I can pull... Yeah, I can disconnect the station there. That's pretty cool. So, okay, this is going to be an isolated loop, and then I'm going to loop these stations in like that. And then I'll loop this one over here. Oh, man. It's amazing how big of a difference that makes to be able to just pull and reroute your route. That's huge. That was a big pain in the earlier editions. I'm really excited about that. Actually, that's funny. So wow, yay! I wonder if I can be nitpicky and say that I want it to look like this. That would be cool. Because like the aesthetics of this game is one of the major draws, and like this, this little like really tight corner frustrates me. It would be fun if I could like reroute it like this, but it doesn't look like they let you do that. Back before they were on Steam, I know the developers were really listening to feedback and responding to feedback. So I'm gonna try and suggesting that letting you reroute for aesthetics would be pretty nice, just for those OCD among us. So this route's getting pretty long. It's got 2 trains on it. The blue one's getting okay. I got another locomotive. So I can pick up a 4th line, which I think I'm going to do. And so that gave me this light blue line now. And I'm going to drag this other train on here. And then I think I'm going to create... Oh. Wait, did this... Something flashed over here near the pie wedge. But it's still a connected station. So did the station type change? I'm not too sure. But I'm going to drag a new route, I think. I'll bypass the triangle there and go like that. What do you mean I have no loco? Oh, interesting. I used the so in the past lines always came with a locomotive. And so since I dragged that other locomotive onto the blue line, it was basically the locomotive I could have used um, for this light blue line. And some of these, like it shows that these lines cross, but technically on the graph they don't, and so they've had issues, I think, trying to perfect that. Oh my gosh, I've got this station filling up, and there's no way I'm gonna make that in time. I did not notice that. Oh, oh wait, why is it suddenly being okay? Is it because I said that? I'm not too sure what happened there. I'll have to pay attention. Or is it? That's been one of the big things that they've been struggling with is these indications. Ugh, this station is going to kill me here. Um, and so I guess it's a counting up thing. I think they've gone both ways, counting down timers, counting up timers. Um, just getting you to notice that, oh my gosh, something is wrong with your train line. You really need to look at this. I think I'm stuck with, there we go. I'll get another carriage. Man, and I think I'll put it on the green line. Here, I want to put a locomotive on the light blue line. Let me do that first. And then I'll put a carriage on this car here. There. So now this train has twice the capacity. Each train looks like it has room for 6 passengers. They've fluctuated between 8 and 6 in the past. But yeah, it's certainly gotten a lot more of the polish and the interface pizzazz now. I think one of the big things for them is really just going to be, wow, this is a monster line up here. This is going to bite me pretty soon. But I think one of the big things is just going to be, that indicator. It was flashing, which was good, but it wasn't clear to me. Was it going up? Was it going down? Was I in trouble or not? Like what is that indication? Because if you're not noticing it right away, and then you're looking at it at one point in time, even if it's doing something, one way or the other, it's very hard to interpret what that actually signifies in terms of positive or negative response, right? And so I feel like they need either like a red line to indicate where the bad point is, or like an arrow would be a little weird to have a little arrow there. So many. I need another line up here on the top, but I think you can pause still by they put the pause down here. You used to be able to pause by clicking on the clock. I don't know why they didn't just keep that, but I can pause here, and you can reroute while you're paused. Usually, yeah. So a lot of times people will like pause the game and completely redo their metro lines. I try and refrain from doing that a lot because I feel like it's not realistic, but so far it's been the challenge. Like I've been playing for a while now, and like in the past, like I'd already be dead and filled up. So it looks like the difficulty scale has been smoothed out a lot, so you can just kind of enjoy the game and get going and not be penalized for not paying attention as closely. Or having this long, ridiculous route. So I'm guessing there'll be difficulty modes in the future. Oh, I have no tunnels for that. Yeah, that's gonna hose me. But going back to the indication thing, that's going to be the big trouble thing. I think maybe like having it change colors rather than just being a gray circle, having it change colors. Like so when it's getting, in the beginning, it can be maybe like yellow, but then as it counts up to like emergency state, like you're going to have a revolt here of passengers turning red, and then you'd be able to tell that color change and realize that, oh, it's getting redder, that must mean that it's negative, right? And I know they're trying to be the kind of the straight color palette for the maps, but I think they really need that color there for that visual indication to really drive home the change in the status, right? Because that's what's missing. Is it's great that the status is there, and you know something is going on, but at an immediate glance and watching it for a split second, you don't know which way it's going. Is it getting better? Is it getting worse? Is it, is the fact that it's a smaller pie slice meaning that I'm running out of time, or that it's just the beginning of the situation? Um, I really do want another line. I think I just have to be cheap and I have to go like this. And then it automatically pulled the locomotive out. That's cool. Wow, this is a messy train route. I think what I do is I pull this in and I pull these off. Aha! Yes! Interesting. So that's a new mechanic. I glanced over at the Twitch stream to be sure, and I just caught it. That this station here just changed from, I think it was a circle, to this plus. So that was not something that was in the previous version. Was that a station changing its shape? That's really interesting. Yeah, this circle station here seems to be a big problem. And I'm not quite sure how to deal with that right yet. Maybe it's because, oh my gosh, it's because there's five, I didn't even notice this, there's 5 circles here. So by the time the train gets to this circle, on the yellow line at least, the green line seems fine, but it's so long that it takes a while to get there. But by the time the train gets to this circle, it's got a full load of other passengers from these other circles, so it can't pick anyone else up. That's one of the kind of core strategy parts of this game is realizing the design in your stations. And sometimes you can just get hosed by the random generation of these stations. All this is randomly picked. So every game you play is really different, which is one of the interesting things with it. But yeah, I didn't even notice that I was getting the five stations in a row there. And it's mitigated a little bit by these 2 yellow trains going in opposite directions. I still don't know, like clicking on any of this stuff doesn't work. I don't know if to redesign my trains I have to like deconstruct the route. Like sometimes I wish I could just right click on this. I think they're planning, or they were at one point thinking about like the mobile space, and so probably having those complex interactions wouldn't work as well. And they're just trying to keep it simple on that standpoint too. I think I've got enough lines right now. Another carriage would be useful. I think I'm just gonna throw another train on here, and I'll throw the carriage on the yellow line this way. Oops, where did it go? I used my carriage. Yes. I dropped my carriage on the train when it was in the station. Oh, did it? Ah. Weird. Oh, it applied it to the blue line, I think. So that's a bug. Because, I mean, yes, I was on the blue line, but I was also on the yellow line, and the train for the yellow line that I wanted the carriage on was right there. Oh, I've got stations up here. This green line is a nightmare. I think what I'll do is I'll go like this, and I'll disconnect these. A little risky, but especially. Oh, I can probably just go like that. That's helpful. Having these kind of intersection points is useful in a lot of cases. Alright, so yeah, so this is filling up and the pie is getting larger. So I'm just gonna, well, I'll watch it for a bit. I have to remember all these things to report now. One's a suggestion with the aesthetics. I think I can get rid of that one. And then, oh yeah, now it's going down again though. I want to see what it's like when it's really filled up. But I don't know if I'll get there anytime soon. We'll see. I'm doing okay. But I wouldn't have done this well in the past with the previous version. And the other thing was the bug with the carriage. That might bite me a bit because I don't need the extra carriage on that light blue line. It's really just um, a loop just to connect and ferry people around. But one of the nice things too with this game, which you don't really notice as you're playing, is you're just so enthralled with, ferrying passengers around, is that the map is zooming out, and that's what gives you all this extra space. And like you look back and you're like, wow, this is a huge map now, but like it was half the size when you started, so that's pretty cool. All right, so another train. Don't have any tunnels. Get another carriage. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go like this, and then I need to put another one on the blue line, I think. And then I'll put a carriage, and as I've understood, just on the yellow line. And I guess it just picks a train at random. But yeah, configuring the train and like saying, hey, I want you to go this other direction on the loop. Or like, I want you to have the extra carriage. Or like, I want to take this carriage off. Which would be hard because they have passengers, but at the next station, they could let passengers off, or when it's empty, like new passengers wouldn't get on that carriage if you want to rip it off, like kind of the invisible line that they do with the routes themselves. I think that's the piece for me that's missing as kind of the strategic and looking at the strategy side of the game. And just the OCD-ness of having complete control of the system, that's missing for me is just that level of configuring trains. And do you have some other pop-up when you click on the train or the carriages here that show you or both, either of them, that pops up and it can show you your trains on the routes, and maybe you can click on it to click or drag on it to remove it, or I'm out of tunnels. Or something like that. I'm not too sure what the best. I'm gonna be crafty. Yeah, I don't think gonna last too long here. So these people are dangling off, and then this one. But yeah, well, a couple of them are gonna get picked up. But yeah, it'd be great. It could start out gray. Gray's fine, but like having it pick up a red hue, I think, as it went around would be useful. I'm just this seems like a really bad strategy. I'm surprised it's working so long right now. Is just having this massive green loop, because in the past that wouldn't have worked. So like this is, I think, probably my highest score ever, but this is probably a lot more respectable of a score in this new build compared to the past. All right, so I got another locomotive. I think I get another. Do I want another line? Yes, I think I pick another line, and I think I go like this. And then I disconnect the green route from a lot of those. This purple line is, oh yeah, so they are getting darker, so that is useful. I guess maybe I wasn't in as much trouble. Yeah, this one, interesting. So the darker bits helped. I guess it's just in that early state, at least as the first time player, I didn't know, and now I do know. So that's always a level of thing in any sort of software building, is like, is that really going to hurt the user or the game player the first time through? In this case, I lost the game, but I've learned, and then I know for the next time, right? And is it, how much effort do you want to spend to fix that sort of issue versus just letting them learn that first time, right? And for me, I've got at least 25-minute game out of this, and so that's pretty respectable, I think, for things. Oh, and it looks like this is how you go back to see the screenshot. Oh, and it actually saved it. That's cool. Oh, saved to my desktop. That's a little frustrating. It'd be nice if it could just... I wonder how what Steam integration has for that, saving snapshots and stuff to like your profile or something. But saving to the desktop by default seems like a bad choice. Like, do, I don't know, my pictures or my documents or something, the game folder somewhere. I'm not too sure. Um, but yeah, like my desktop, I have no icons on it anymore, and I just like it pristine. I want to see my background if I'm not, looking at anything in particular. So anyway, uh, all right, I'm pretty impressed with the changes. The menu fluidity and all that is really nice addition, and it looks really polished. I'm pretty excited. I'm gonna have to play this a little bit more too in the future. But I don't think I got anyone here watching me record this live. That's I think one of the things I like about the First Play series is that I can do it live. So I'm hopefully gonna try this out a little bit more in the future with Twitch. But so maybe catch me next time. But if you're watching it after, appreciate you looking at my series, and be sure to check out my Patreon page and support me a bit if you want to see some more of this series in the future. And you can find out more about that from my video on that page. And look forward to seeing you again next time. Thanks for watching.